Hey guys, it's your boy Davey. In today's video, I'm gonna tell you how I cut myself shaving. No, I'm just joking. No, that would be a terrible video. Not that my other videos are probably much better, but this video is actually going to be about me buying my first home. So sit down, shut the f up, and enjoy this video. So, like I said about 10 seconds ago, this video is about the first and only home that I've ever bought, the one that I live in right now. This is like, by no means some kind of flex or brag, because I live in this like cute little house in a like rough ass neighborhood in a not so desirable city to live in. I mean, I think there's a lot of people that like living here, but I think like the communities around where I live, they pretty much just make fun of where I live. So yeah, so not a flex by any means. This is just a video about my process and my journey into buying this house. So yeah, man, let's get right into it. So firstly, I'm like 20 years old. I just got out of this 2-year program for HVAC, and it's like, heating and ventilation and air conditioning. And I took that because I knew that those guys made a lot of money, and I was like, man, I want to make a lot of money. And I was like pretty good with my hands. I grew up in a very like trade-oriented family. My dad is a welder and a pipe fitter. So yeah, I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go ahead and do this 2-year program, and when I get out, I will make a ton of money, and I will buy like a big house and a new truck and all this stuff. And that was my whole plan. Like, I really was just trying to get paid, and that's all I wanted to do. So I get out. Yeah, I worked like it for a couple companies that did that kind of work, small little companies in like the area that I lived in at the time. And honestly, the companies that I worked for were just completely, I don't want to say, the one company I worked for was like a decent company. Like, they did good work, and the owners were cool, but it was a shitty place to work because there was just like the journeyman there, at least the one journeyman there, I should say, he was just an asshole. Like, f him. If you're listening to this, f you. But the journeyman that I usually worked with was such a great guy. He was a nice dude. I've seen him since quitting that place, and it's nothing but love. So hey, if you're watching this, man, shout out. You kind of got me started in this whole thing, so I appreciate it. So after working for a couple small little operations, I got this job at this company probably like an hour or so from where I lived, and it paid awful. Like, the pay was really bad, and we worked a lot of like overtime, but it was actually just straight time. Like, we weren't making any more money to do that, and the work was a bitch. Like, it was tough. We worked in sewage treatment plants, and we were like pipe fitters, welders, type of thing. So we would work in sewage treatment plants, and like I worked in a lot of sewage, like waist deep in shit, and like it was tough, man. We would work long days, and we were doing tough work, like grueling work in any weather. It did not matter. Blizzards, hot as fuck summer. We would wear like full coveralls, which I will show you. I'll take a picture of me wearing them, and I will post it like in this clip somewhere. But it was a tough job, man. But I was working all these hours, and I was making like not good money, but I was taking home money. Like, my paychecks were never this good. So I was like, man, I actually have some traction here. Like, I'm saving money. What's the next natural step? Well, every 20-year-old's dream is to buy their own house, because you think, oh, this is great. I'm living with my parents at the time, so I'm like, oh, I'll get out of my parents' house. I will get my own place, and I'll own it, and no one can tell me anything. I can do whatever I want. Yeah, that was just fantasy, because I had no idea like how much money it took to operate a whole household. Not a whole household, just me in a house. And oh man, so I'm sitting there like, yeah, if I only made this much money, and I'll be good forever. I won't ever have to worry about money ever again. So I went to the bank, and I was like, I'm gonna try and find a way to like start saving money better, to make money from money. So I go to the bank, I meet up with this like investment dude, and he's like, so I'm like 20, he couldn't have been more than 21 or 22, like it was a kid talking to a kid. So he's like going through and telling me, oh, you should do this and do that, and but realistically, although a very nice guy, he's just clicking the computer like, oh, do you like this? Yes. Okay, next option. Yes. Okay, cool, this is what you should do. So I took like the money I had, which wasn't a lot, but I put it into this investment portfolio, mutual funds, and I just left it there for a while, and I kept putting money into it. And I was like, realistically, I'm not like saving a ton of money, but in my head I feel good because I am saving some money, and I was living a fun life, and I was doing all kinds of fun stuff. So at the same time, I wanted to buy a house and have a truck and all this stuff, but I was enjoying my life so much. Me and my buddies were having a great time, just like drinking and going out and just doing fun stuff. So, it was almost like at that point then, it became something like in the back of my head, like, yeah, this is something I'm gonna do. So, over the next few years, I started to save more and more money, and I started to get more focused on saving money. And I took my money out of that, generic portfolio that the bank had me on, and I took it and I did a couple things. I put money in stuff I thought could work, and then I actually had an actual portfolio made, like something more catered, more geared towards me and my goals. So yeah, into my 20s, just saving money. Meanwhile, at this point, I had gotten a new, better job in town, in the union, and, I've actually started to make really good money, like, more than double what I was making at this place doing super treatment plants. So, cut to the chase, I decide I'm going to begin the process. Actually, sorry, before that, me and my buddy, more or less for kicks, like we were going to open houses every Sunday. Like we would drive to a neighborhood and just like, okay, there's open houses here, let's get out and let's just look at them and let's get some prices. And I really that was a huge reality check for me, because I realized the city that I lived in and I wanted to live in was very expensive. I think like the average house price, and I'm telling you, like average house price for what you get for the house was like, it was ridiculous. Like this is such a booming area that it just didn't make sense for this 20-some-year-old to be able to buy there. Like there's no way I would have been able to do it and live alone. I would have had to like rent a couple rooms out or something, and I wasn't trying to do that. I wanted to live on my own. So reality check, big time reality check. I realized that I probably was gonna have to move outside of that city to something, still in the city, but just in another cheaper community. Once I kind of thought I had all my ducks in a row, I went back to the bank, this is years later, and I started the process of being pre-approved for a mortgage. And like, think about this, I'm making okay money, and in my head I'm like, man, they're gonna give me, no problem, I'm gonna get a bunch of money. And was I wrong about that? They gave me a mortgage. Like they were willing to give me some money, and it would have been enough to buy a house, but it would have been like tough to find a house in that price range unless I wanted to like move way the fuck out of here. So yeah, man, I just came to the conclusion that I was gonna have to move. So I'm like, now I meet with a realtor. She was a sweet lady, super honest, and she wasn't like, you didn't feel like you were like getting scammed or like they were like just trying to push houses on you. She was such a great lady, awesome real estate agent. I wish I could recommend her, but I'm not trying to put her details out there. So her, my dad, and my mom, we're all going to these showings to see these houses, and like every one I went to, like most people would walk into it and be like, man, this is a dump. Like these places weren't by any means like nice places, but I was just like excited to get out. Like I understood that the first place I bought was going to be like a freaking rat hole. No, not quite that bad. But I knew that I was going to basically have to like gut it and renovate it myself, which I was willing to do, and I have the skills to do it, so I wasn't too worried about it. But just finding a place like the area that I live in is so booming. Just bids were like you could bid more money than the original house price, and you would get gouged. Like someone would double that. Like it was ridiculous. Every day I'm putting in like bids. I'm on places. I'm looking at places. I found places that I liked, or at least I liked for the moment, and gone. Not a chance. Like I was getting killed. So finally, I started to look in the city next to mine where I lived, and I had a lot better luck. I found places like kind of like a couple price points down, and they were small and like unusual places, like the house I live in, the house I ended up buying. But it was cool, and I didn't give a fuck. So I finally buy this house. I saw this ad for this like dinky little house in a very slummy neighborhood, and I was like, oh my god! I was like, I laughed at it. Me and my parents both laughed at it, and it was just funny because in the picture it's like this little guy, this little tiny little house, and but at the point, like I said, like there wasn't a lot of options, so I went and I checked it out. I had a look at it. Me and my mom went because my dad was working. We had a look at this place, and crazy enough, I kind of fell for it. I kind of fell in love with it. It was in this like really Portuguese neighborhood, and which is really cool because in the backyards everybody had like meat smokers and like small little vineyards with grapes and a big garden and all this stuff. And it was charming, and I kind of like bought into it. So, I put a bid on the place, and I got it. So I'm working with the real estate agent and the banker, and the guy at the bank, bless his soul, because he was like a nicest dude ever, but he just wasn't like the most competent at his job. So like this entire process that I'm trying to buy a house, I have to like call this guy, email this guy, like, hey, like, am I good? Like, I'm putting a bid in today. I need to know, am I good? And like, he would go days without responding. Like, I'm putting bids in, and I'm putting in offers. And if I put an offer in it and I can't get approved, I lose a deposit of like $5,000 usually. So I was like, dude, you need to get back to me. I got an offer in. Finally, he calls me back. He's like, yeah, man, you're good. Like, everything's cool. Go ahead and put the bid in, and it'll be cool. Don't worry about it. So I did. And I was doing that like all the time, but it took him forever to get back to me every time, and it was super annoying. And I don't know, man, he was just slow at it. He just didn't, I don't think he really knew what he's doing, but he did. I'd like to say he tried. I don't think he even tried that hard, but he was a nice dude, like very timid dude. But so yeah, I go to this dinky little house on this like very shitty street near like 2 homeless shelters, and like literally there was crackheads like everywhere. But I was like, screw it, I don't mind, I don't care about that. And I put a bid in the house, and Buddy didn't like my bid. I think he was actually probably a little insulted because everybody, telling you, like all these houses were going for like top dollar, and this house was already cheap. And Buddy was like trying to like get at the minimum what the listing price was. And I was like, I'm not paying that for this place. Like, it's an okay place, but I'll buy it for less, okay? We got a deal? So, dude, like when we're going through with the agents, the other agent, his selling agent, talking to my agent, was like, hey, my seller doesn't want to play these games or the bids, like, this is the price, which was less than the price that was listed. I got him down. He's like, this is the price, take it or leave it. Meanwhile, in my head, I'm like, that's a great price. I will take it, actually. But I also knew, like, this guy lived in Toronto, I think, and his daughter was living in this house while she was in school. So they were trying to just get rid of this house. It was on the market for a while, I'm pretty sure. And they were trying to move this house so they could just carry on with their lives back in the big city. And so I took the offer. He counter-offered. I took that price, which was a good deal, and I was very, very, very happy. Also very, very scared. Like, I was so scared. I remember talking to my agent, and I signed the shit, and like it's all on email signatures. And I remember like she's like, "Yep, he's willing to take your offer for this price. Do you want to accept?" And I just sat there and I put my phone down and I was like, oh my god, like, do I want to do this? Am I ready to do this? Like, this is probably the most scared I've ever been in my entire life. I was so nervous. So, like, I'm at my parents' house, so I walked downstairs, my bedroom is upstairs, I walked down, my mom is there. I don't know, this is like, my dad must have been working at this time. So I walk down and I tell my mom, I'm like, hey, they accepted this offer. All I have to do is agree to it, sign the paper, and the place is mine. And my mom, looks up at me because I'm on the stairs, and this is like super emotional for me I was like, this is like the next chapter in my life. I was just super emotional. My mom's like, well, like, do you want it? Like, she's looking up at me, and I'm just like, yeah, I do. And she's like, okay, do it. And that was really cool, man. Like, that was a great feeling. I went up there, I had the little application on my phone, and I signed it off. I signed the thing, and my real estate agent, messaged me back saying, you got the place, you move in this date. There's obviously, you got to go talk to a lawyer and all this stuff, but there was a process after that. But the place is mine as long as the loan went through. And it was scary, man. It was really scary. And my mind is just racing of all this stuff that I had to do, and all these things that I had to get, and all the work that I was gonna have to do on this house in the coming months. And I was just, yeah, man, although I was scared, I was also like ridiculously excited. I was so excited. And because at the time, my parents are great people, and my brother lived there as well at my parents' house. So I was like cool with living there with them, but I just wanted to go out and do my own thing. I desperately wanted to make my mark on the world and, live my life by myself. So I start preparing to move out. My mom is like, everyone was excited for me. My friends, my parents, I had a lot of support in it. And I'm gonna just, long story short, I moved into the house, and like that day, because this place wasn't bad, like inside it wasn't that bad, it was all functional, it was all livable, but it was just like outdated and, cheap and tacky. And that day, I started tearing shit apart. Like, I moved all my shit in, and like my shit's all like just kind of packed into bags. I didn't have a lot of stuff, but all my shit's packed up, and I moved in. And my parents helped me move in, my friends helped me move in, and they leave, and it's probably like 7 o'clock or something, and I'm just sitting there, and I say, okay, and I just start like tearing shit apart, like I'm doing this whole place, I'm gonna gut this whole place. So, yeah, I just start tearing this freaking house apart, man. And, a year later, I was pretty well, keep in mind, I'm in school for some of this time as well, because I had to finish some of my schooling. I'm also working full-time, and I'm working full-time like an hour and 20 minutes from my house now. So yeah, man, it was a crazy hustle. Like, I was working non-stop, go to work all day, doing my construction shit. Then I was coming home and I was doing construction on the house. I didn't have a whole lot of free time, but it was awesome, man. I felt like I was on the cusp of like this huge and amazing chapter in my life, and I've eventually finished renovating the house for the most part. I admit I've been there like a couple years now, and there's like this staircase and some random stuff that I have yet to do, but it's coming soon. Maybe I'll do a video about the staircase when it's done. But yeah, I live there now, and there's lots of stories attached to this house, and I'm hoping to do some story times about it, because there's some good ones. But yeah, I still live in this house, and the neighborhood is shaped up a tiny bit, but not a whole lot, and I don't mind that. I've done a lot of work here, and I enjoy living here. I think the message here is like, think good things take time. It takes time to accomplish what your goals and dreams and your hopes. And just give it some time, guys. Don't ever give up on your shit. I know this is like some corny, cheesy, cliche stuff, but it's true. Do not give up on what you want to do, and you can get there. Alright guys, thank you so much for checking out this video. This is the end. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe. Please like it. Give me a comment. It means the world to me. I really enjoy making these videos, and I love that, even a small amount of people come out and watch them. It's pretty fun. It's pretty cool. So, anyways, I'm DaveyOnEverything. Thank you for coming and checking out this video. Until the next one, everybody have a great day.